Почему это важно? Потому что закон, он должен играть силу. Если написано так, то значит должно быть соблюдено все. И, конечно же, в пользу людей, да, в пользу народа. Но в России нету такого. То есть закон был писан, потом переписан. Обнулили срок президента. В итоге он еще, не знаю, сколько лет, 20 прослужит. До такой степени, пока вот люди совсем не взбунтуются. Но хочу сказать, что они не будут сильно бунтовать, потому что то 5000 кинут им там, знаете, детям, то еще что-то, то там позволят своровать, то там позволят коррупцию, да, вот поддержать. То есть, к сожалению, коррупция настолько проросла, как плесень, что очень тяжело злиться. Как мне сказал один знакомый, очень мне это запала фраза, то, что люди недостаточно злые и агрессивные, чтобы восставать и делать революцию. Вот, но более такое пожилое население вообще не хочет никаких перемен, их все устраивает, они боятся возвращения 90-х, но это такой бред. И уже не будет, знаете, отговорок. Просто посмотрите этот фильм, и уже не будет отговорок, знаете, типа, вот пускай наворуются, мы потом изберем второго президента, другого. Ну пускай вот это наворуется, а то каждый будут воровать, и ну зачем нам это, да? Ага. Навальный сказал, что нифига они не наворуются, он будет и тещам, и своим женщинам все там покупать, никогда он не наворуется. И дворец он будет свой перестраивать по 150 раз, он уже плесенью там покрылся. Обязательно посмотрите этот фильм, потому что я считаю, это было просто разгром. Мы все ждали этот фильм, он набрал 25 миллионов просмотров буквально за, наверное, один день. Я такая гуляю, тут такая красота. Обычно я на ланче сплю или ем. Надо почаще гулять. Просто не гуляю, потому что солнце и лицо не хочу обжигать. А сейчас тенечки так хорошо вообще, особенно зимой. Вот, так что вот такие вот новости, ребятки. Сейчас куда-нибудь зайду, посмотрю. Yes. Do you want a selfie?
No, I used to, believe it or not, I used to import these from China. So I sold a bunch of these back in the day. They were like ton of, first when it came out, I brought them from China.
This one's
no, not these ones, but a selfie stick.
Ah, selfie stick.
And the one that had a wire goes inside your phone.
Oh,
great. It goes to your phone jack. So I ordered these to America. I was like the first vendor. And at the time, my shop was in New York. Dude, I was like making a ton of money. That's really how I got into, like I had my initial start at just, and then I bought some Bitcoin, I bought some stocks, you know, the rest is history. You know, but really honestly, that's how I really made a ton of money. I ordered them from AliExpress, Alibaba.
Me too. I ordered
okay,
from
well,
AliExpress.
I bought them in bulk. I bought like a bunch of them, like 4,000, 5,000, you know, and then every time a batch, I'd finish them in like 2 weeks. There was so much demand in New York, it's just going like this. And then, but the vendor, because he's selling it to me, you know, like I was ordering at such bulk numbers, so he's just like, I was in New York City, I was like the top vendor for that. I made a ton of money.
I recorded a video about Biden, you know, new president. Yes, what do you think about him?
What do I think about it?
Yes.
I think he's going to be great for America.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to record me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I would love to. Yeah, okay.
You can tell something about
you
Biden.
Make it stretch yourself.
Yes,
you go.
You can tell about something about Biden, what he promising, and what you believe and hope to maybe something will change in the future. What do you think about this?
Well, I think you know, some of the like he reversed some of the racist laws and like the Muslim ban and some of the countries that he had listed on there. You know, and I think as an immigrant, and I think you know, there should be qualification for people who come here, but it shouldn't be based on their religion or country of origin or and second thing, I mean, there's many other things. I feel like we need to stop our funding wars around the world and giving weapons to dictatorial regimes, because those weapons end up being in the hands of terrorists and like far-right groups that you know, like ISIS and so on, that create havoc and destroy lives around the world. And so we should be very careful and about who we sell weapons, and like right now, I would like him to see him end the war in Yemen. And one way to do it is stop selling weapons to these countries, Saudi Arabia and Emirates, that have a war against the people in Yemen. And I think that Yemeni both sides, they need to sit down and talk, because the country is almost close to starvation, and they had the cholera outbreak. Like it's becoming a catastrophe, human catastrophe.
Oh.
And it's really sad. I'd like him, get back to international norms. We as a country, we should abide by any contract that our governments make with collectively with other world leaders. Like one of these was JCPOA, the Iran nuclear agreement. I think when America unilaterally pulled out during the Trump administration, and it just messed up the situation, because the Europeans are abiding by it. And Iran, that was a mechanism for Iran to not make nuclear bombs. Something that most, everybody in the West and everybody around the world was aiming for. But then America pulling out of that agreement unilaterally, it caused such a... because in case of like dealing business or selling pharmaceuticals to Iran, they couldn't even wire transfer their money. So it's I feel like it's been a very bad precedent for our country that we're not abiding by our international agreements that we made during the Obama administration. So I'm glad that he at least he's spoken about it, that he's going to reverse it. And I think we need to talk to the people around the world. We can't try to overthrow governments, democratically elected governments with military coups, or getting like the, we need to stop telling the rest of the world how to run their governments. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we
right.
should stand for democracy and elections. But we should stop telling the rest of the world that this, they should have like, this president. Like, for instance, in Venezuela, there's one guy, Juan Guaido. He hasn't gotten a vote by all of Venezuelan people. He's just a congressman from a single state. American State Department under Pompeo and Donald Trump's presidency considers him the president of all of Venezuela, in which is crazy, because the man got votes from like an area as big as like maybe Beverly Hills, or like and then now he's the president of all of Venezuela. And then there's been democratic elections occurring in South America, but we try to undermine it, and we try to overthrow the regimes of these leftist government that in this case they brought millions of people out of poverty. In Bolivia, for instance, like Evo Morales was overthrown, and instead they brought this Christian fundamentalist right-wing, like most Fox News viewers, that happened to, she held on power for like almost a year, and then the people got back to the ballot box, and they voted her out. So it seems to me the trend that we're setting, that we're going, okay, we don't agree with you, we're going to overthrow your government. It's not the way to go. I think we need to have a debate with the world. We cannot tell them how to run their country or who to elect. Rather, we should stand for free elections, because the will of the people is essentially what American democracy stands for. And I mean, this election was, and it's really sad because, as much as they try to tag us and make us like as immigrants from like Muslim countries, we're always tagged, we're given like, but we just realized that majority of the terrorists are, right-wing white supremacists that just stormed the Capitol last week, and they a bunch of people got killed, and there's been police officers that were hurt. One police officer lost his life. As much as us as immigrants are given a tag, and I'm from Iran. And as much as we're given a badge, but the batshit crazy people in this country happen to be white, and they're Trump supporters. They're not us. So we don't like. They were talking about one senator or congressman was talking about that oh, we thought the Iranians tried to invite. Seriously, Iranians would not destroy a property. We buy it. You know,
Right.
look at Beverly Hills. You
Yes.
know? So it's just the whole fear mongering against people of color needs to stop. You know,
Yes,
and
right.
I know there's a lot of racism around, and then a lot of people are driven by their politics and so on. But we need to stop all that. We need to have another
Be together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because we're all human beings.
Yes.
We all bleed blood. It's so much easier that we target one group of people and say, no, we need to come together as a country, left or right, and try to make it really better for us, like as a country.
Yes.
Not, you know, at the end of the day, Republican, Democrat, these are just names. The
Right.
ideas that really makes a difference on the ground are how we can grow our economy, how we can make, you know,
Healthcare.
better healthcare,
Yeah.
better infrastructure for our people. We have
Education.
millions of people right now sleeping on the corners in America,
Yeah.
living on the streets.
That's
You
right.
know, I mean, for the richest country in the world, I mean, it's an embarrassment. You know, we have almost no safety net whatsoever for communities that experience poverty. You know, like comparing to some of that, we don't have a public option for healthcare. I mean, there are things that serious problems that we have in this country that can be addressed by this administration. Now there's no excuse. There's a democratically Senate, Democrat House, and the presidency is in a. So if there was something that stopped these guys from actually taking these policies, and that excuse is not there anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
It's
right.
time to have a real debate, and I applaud whoever that reaches out to the right and try to bring forces and politicians from the right or the Republicans or the libertarians and so on to join us to make a better country for all collectively, not just for the rich people, not for the billionaires of the 1% that are just keep getting. Look at that 1% of America. 1% of America owns almost 80% of the economy. 1%. This cannot be, guys.
Yes,
you know,
right.
things needs to change. And and another thing I would like him to reverse is, you know, the Trump's tax breaks for the billionaires, because this has caused big issue. Like think about it. Back in the days, there was a death test. Like if someone was a billionaire and passed away, their kids would get a portion, but also part of that money goes back to, you know, the government and to reallocate wealth. Like if we don't do that, it creates the oligarchy, just like how it was in,
right.
you know, how it is in, you know, some places like, you know, you have in like places like that have that oligarchy. You know, in Russia, for instance, they have
Russia,
a group of people that are
Yes, yes, I
they're
agree.
super rich,
Rich,
and
but-
they dictate to the government how it's supposed to be, and they, you know.
And what do you think about Russia? What do you think about that president? But maybe I'm from Russia, and
Yeah.
I believe that it's not a good president for us.
Well, okay, I can tell you that Vladimir Putin is definitely a totalitarian dictator. He's not. He uses the media, the state media. He uses Now we just heard about the new. The guy that was poisoned in Britain.
Yes,
I forgot his-
Navalny,
that
yes.
went and he got arrested in the airport.
Yes, on
And
30 days.
they hit him with some fictitious charges and so on. You know, and they're just holding on to him, and his life is in danger.
Yes.
There's no question that he is he's a dictator, and I believe what he did, what happened in Crimea is, in my opinion, is a Ukrainian land. It's part of you see, that's the thing. We have countries that they think we're too strong or too collectively as nations. We need to be able to say, hey, these are world borders, and this is how we recognize world as it is. And we're not gonna have stronger countries impose their military power to dictate to other countries that are smaller or weaker, or they have smaller military. You know, America should be standing for that. America should be supporting Ukraine to stand up for, you know, and I in this case, I do not accept Crimea being part of the Soviet or I'm saying Russia. I
Russia,
mean, there's not, but
yeah.
he acts like it's USSR again. But it's the will of the people of Crimea that has to count, and it has to be the will of the people of Ukraine to decide what happens to their country. You can't have and in my opinion, the way forward is for America to support these democratically, these candidates like the gentleman that you just mentioned, his name, Navalny. And other, and Kasparov, some of these guys that I actually have heard and they seem to me very smart, and America needs to be supporting democratically movements that can make change on the ground in Russia. And that's the only way around, because Putin, and unfortunately, because he is a dictator and he sees himself as a strongman, he thinks he can go around the world and impose his will on the rest of the continent and the rest of the world. And I think this needs to stop, because and I understand he comes from an old KGB era that you get in office and you hold on to power and so on. But I think there needs to be Russia has become more corrupt. There's more oligarchs that are popping under Vladimir Putin, and some of the old ones, actually the ones that had stood up for democracy and so on, they had to flee the country, because even though they were rich, but they were like, oh, we need to have free elections, we need to have media, and they start targeting them based on their religion or based on them being agents of foreign countries and so on. So we need to have a serious debate with Russia. If you want to be part of the global United Nations and be part of you need to abide by the rules. You need to abide by. You can't just show up, be like, okay, we're taking over. I think Crimea, the case of Crimea, is a very interesting one. That the Russian state just went beyond its borders and they took over another country's territorial sovereignty. There's no other way around it. There are Russian people that live in Poland too. There's Russian people that live in other parts of. There are Russian people here in West Hollywood. Are they going to West Hollywood next?
A lot of Russian people.
Yeah, so a lot of Russian people. I think us as people, we have to be able to learn to live together, and we have to have democracy and secular democracy, not one country for only I think these. Values that we have in America, secular democracy and rule of law, not a nation state. As much as these white supremacists, Christian fundamentalists try to make America a white Christendom or something, but the value of American democracy is in the fact that we differentiate between countries that see themselves as orthodox, or as they say themselves as one nation state and so on. I mean, Russia is so much more diverse than just being one ethnicity or rule of one group of fundamentalists of one kind or another. And in this case, we can see the Russian state going after gay people, going after lesbians, going after people of color, going after minorities that don't agree with them, thinkers, journalists. I mean, it's the list goes on and on, the Pussy Riot band, and I understand. I mean, I might not agree with them politically, but they have free speech. If there's such a thing as free speech, you cannot go and pick up people and put them in jail or imprison them just for their political opinion. We need to, America as a country, we need to be supporting values that represents us. The problem with our politicians, we have a certain policy for inside the U.S., but outside the U.S., you're like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? We're against Islamic Republic in Iran, but we are for a Jewish state in Israel. And then in which there is Christians, there's Muslims, there's all sorts of diversity that goes on, and it creates a problem. And it creates in my opinion, you cannot have any religion dictated by one group of people in any country.
Yeah,
Name
right.
it, whatever country it is. You could have a secular country and people of different backgrounds and culture and race coexist together, and that's the American way. And we should be pushing those values and those policies.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
thank you
that
so much, my
interview.
dear. I'm so glad I
You're
talked
from
to you.
Iran, right? What is your
Yes.
name?
My name is Mehdi.
Mehdi. Nice to meet you. My name
Nice
is
to meet you.
Victoria.
Victoria, nice to
Yes,
meet you, my
thank
dear.
you for your interview.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad I spoke
my
to you.
Instagram, yoga blogger. I will.
Yoga blogger.
Yeah, I will show you.
Okay.
Probably maybe in a week, maybe in a month. I will
Okay. If they
translate
come for me and they shoot me in my house, I know it was your blog.
No worries about.
I was just joking.
It was joke. No worries about that.
I
I just recorded my video
Yeah, I'd be
about
like,
you
Putin,
saying-
I was kidding, man.
No worries.
If they poison me, I'd be like, it
We're
wasn't
from
me, man.
America,
It's just
no,
my.
but-
Oh no, actually, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yoga blogger.
How
It's
do you
my
spell that?
YouTube channel.
Yoga.
Uh-huh.
How do you put it?
G-A.
G-A.
Uh-huh. Yes, I done.